Hi, I'm Boris Blade. I'm the host of Strange but Harmless. I'm a man of simple taste. I'm also a complicated man. You don't know me yet, obviously. If you listen over the next few weeks, you'll understand the strange part of Strange but Harmless, but you might question the harmless part. I had a lot of strange things happen growing up, like a visit from a shadow figure to protect me in my bed for one. Similar things started when I was 4 or 5 years old. I won't spoil it for you with all the details now. You can listen to future episodes if you're interested. These things helped screw me up a lot. I was raised by a fanatical Christian father. We went to a small church on the west side of Barberton. It was a Pentecostal church, a holy roller church, if you will. I call it that with pride, not ridicule. I've seen people dance in the spirit, literally, and I know what that word means, literally running the aisles. Some of those old ladies could have gave an Olympiad a run for their money. Don't get me wrong. Dad did the best he could with what he knew, but these things also helped screw me up more than a little. A lot of my being screwed up is, of course, my own fault. I'm willing to admit this. Anyone who blames their upbringing and/or environment for how they turned out is living in a fantasy world. Nature versus nurture only takes you so far. Once you learn the basics, life teaches you the reality. It's how we handle the ups and downs of life that makes us the people we grow into. It's understandable if your issues are physical, emotional, or just the way your brain is wired. You can't help those things, even though a lot of times these things are involved. Maybe it was partially the time I spent down at the creek alone in the woods as a kid. Maybe the odd things I saw in bed at night. I know what you're thinking. Dreams. Believe me, I know what dreams feel like. These were not that. More in weeks to come. Not only that, but our whole lives are a work in progress. I'm 65 years old now, and I'm still evolving as a person. You don't know this yet, but I suffered from severe depression and anxiety with panic attacks a few years ago. Well, you know now. It really sucked. I had a coworker tell me while we were discussing therapy in general, it's all in your head. You're paying someone to help with something you can do yourself. I don't get depressed. I don't let myself. I told him, come back and see me when you're diagnosed with depression, then we can talk. Now, I'll admit it, I used to feel the same way, until it hit me like a ton of bricks. Now I understand. Still evolving as an adult. I thank God he healed me when he did. Both my therapist and my practitioner agree that my writing again is progress. And the fact that I hear music in my head again is a good sign to me. I could always pick songs and listen to them in my head. I can not only pick songs to listen to, but could turn them off and on at will. That's still true, but sometimes now when something reminds me of a song, it starts auto-playing in my head. A good example, if someone says, I hurt my hand and it felt just like someone stabbed it, and it felt just like, Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb pops in my head. The line, my hands felt just like 2 balloons. Ooh, that wasn't good. I can either try to ignore it and concentrate on what is happening around me, or just enjoy it and let my mind drift. Wait, I think I hear it now. Oh, now when they autoplay at random times, they're hard to ignore, let alone turn off. Oh, by the way, one of my superpowers is the ability to tune out almost anything. I've slept and read at rock concerts, but only during the warm-up act, and only if they sucked. But it still counts. Between the songs and the constant ringing in my ears, I have tinnitus. Sometimes I feel like I'm going nuts. That's not what this post is about. It's about my strange life. Even before I was diagnosed, I had started writing Facebook posts. I could probably trace the beginning of my depression to then. Like a lot of people my age, I have issues with my memory, but when I start writing about something, most of the memories come back to me. Not all the details, but enough that I can piece the rest together. I'm remembering things from my childhood that I never realized before. I have confirmed some of these things with my siblings and my mother years before she died. I saved most of my posts. That's where my podcasts come from. I missed some of the early ones, though. Did I sugarcoat things? I don't think so. At least I tried not to. Did I tell all my dirty little secrets? Nothing that would make you really hate me, but there's only a few of those, I think. I remember thinking as a child that I was different. Not just from other children, but from all people. Surely not everyone had to deal with the scary shit I was experiencing, or they'd all be loners like me. Even as a child, I felt that way. And don't get me wrong, I'm married and have a little Corky. He's my only real friend. Relatives don't count. But in my head, I'm still alone. No one else could fit in there anyways. I'm a Gemini, so there are already 2 of us in there as it is. Yes, that's a real thing. I've had people who really know me tell me over the years that my 2 personalities are as different as night and day. Good thing. It would be boring as hell if we were both alike. Plus, I treat my OCD as a separate entity. See? Strange. I bargain with it, argue with it, explain myself to it. It might as well be a third person. Let's talk religion. I don't claim Christianity for personal reasons. Plus, there's too much baggage that comes with the name. Like the Quran, the Bible is often misinterpreted for the interest of the few. I call myself a follower of Christ's ways. At least I try to be. Hey, but I'm only subhuman. But don't worry, I'm housebroken. Mostly. I must be doing something right. God answers my prayers. Most times his answer is yes. When did that start? From a small child, God looked over me. I remember when I was a kid around 8, I had a bad case of poison oak. It was all over my arms and hands. Well, it was revival time at our church, which meant church every night for a week. Ugh. During the altar call, that's when the preacher invites the sinners who want to repent and others wanting prayer to come to the altar. My mom dragged me up by the hand and told the evangelist, our guest minister, that I needed healing. If only she knew. He and some of the others at the altar laid hands on me and prayed. Suddenly I saw a blinding light. I felt as if my hands and arms were on fire. Nah, I'm just kidding. I didn't feel anything different, but when I left the altar, my arms and hands were clean. Even the scabs where I had scratched off the spots were all gone. The next day, while walking home, a kid from school asked what happened to my poison ivy. He was only in 1st grade. I was more knowledgeable being a 4th grader and all. I told him my poison oak went away at church last night when I was healed. He told me he couldn't catch poison ivy. After we parted, I exclaimed to God, "It's not fair. If he can't catch it, I shouldn't be able to either." God must have heard it as a prayer. From that day on, I couldn't catch poison ivy. I used to pick it and eat it just to freak out other kids. I even left a clump of leaves in a girl's desk once because she falsely accused me of stealing her milk money. 5 cents. She never even apologized, even after she found the nickel in her desk under some papers. Believe it or not, I was picked on in junior high school. No, really, I was a skinny kid with glasses. I actually got them in the 7th grade. One reason was due to my homeroom. I was in 7A. Prior to that year, 7A was reserved for the special kids. Yeah, I mean short bus special. Well, a bit more functional than that. That year, they had redone the system. 7A was now for us geniuses. Not. Actually, all the homerooms were mixed. We had boys, girls, smart, stupid. Yes, there's one in every crowd, and no, I don't mean me. Don't be so mean-spirited. The only exception was 7C. It was all boys, and some suspected all problem boys. I know for a fact it wasn't that. My best friend was in 7C, and he might have been a misfit like me, but was nothing like most of the kids in his homeroom. Unfortunately for him, he landed in with the bullies. Now, I learned how to blend in fast. I was already taller than most kids in school. I walked with a stoop and drove a 57 coupe. Oh, never mind. So as not to stick out. No, I mean stick above the others. I learned how to avoid certain hallways at certain times. More than once, when I saw a particularly mean bully who I knew had a grudge against me coming towards me, I would duck into an empty locker. Until the idiot, not just being rude, I once saw a girl in class helping him write his name. Well, actually, she was showing him where to write his name. You know, top right corner. Duh. Same as most schools. The first day of 7th grade, I met a girl. In the darkest des of Mordor, I met a girl so fair. Nah, that didn't work either. I thought she was cool. She had on an all-black, full-length dress. The middle and the front was whitish and lacy. It kind of reminded me slightly of one of Granny's, that's what we called Great-Grandma, one of Granny's doilies. She had raven black hair braided halfway down her back. No, not Granny. She wore a large silver cross on a gaudy silver chain, very goth-like. We hit it off immediately. I thought I'd found a girlfriend on my first day of junior high. How cool was that? When I saw my best friend, I told him about her. He asked her name, and when I told him, he said, "Stay away from her. I hear she's grungy." Who'd have thunk one day grungy would be cool? I avoided her in the halls for a few days. Wow, I ghosted her, and she gave up trying to talk to me. Boy, was I an idiot. She was pre-goth goth. I like goth. She was pretty in a Morticia Adams sort of way. I always thought Morticia Adams was hot, for an older woman. She had a sweet personality and seemed to really like me. My first experience with peer pressure, I gave into it. What an idiot. I'm much wiser now, at least in my own mind. When I went to high school, all the bullies from junior high, of course, came too. What nerd did they strong-arm for their homework to pass? Plus, as an added bonus, there were new bullies from the other 2 junior high schools in town. That was part of the reason I signed up for vocational classes, to get away from the bullies and maybe start fresh with new kids. Not. Best laid plans and all that rot, don't you know? 2 of the worst bullies also had vocational auto-body repair. Luckily, there seemed to be a certain school loyalty amongst the bullies. They seemed to leave me and my friend alone for the most part. They had new kids to terrorize. Junior and senior years were both pretty uneventful. No, I don't want to talk about my sophomore year. It was an emotionally hard year for me. I meant to keep this short. Well, at least for me. I guess it's just one more thing I failed to do in life. Good thing the naysayers won't hear this part. They'll quit listening after the first few minutes. To all my new podcast friends, I'll let you in on a little secret. Everything I write, I experienced firsthand. It's true to the best of my knowledge, even, well, especially the weird stuff. If you already believe in the metaphysical world around us, listen to future episodes. You'll enjoy them. If you don't believe, listen anyways. You might change your mind. What about you kind folks? Do any of you want to share your personal strangeness? Drop a note in the comments. I'll be glad to listen.